Well, they did it. Warner Brothers beefed it yet again. Space Jam: A New Legacy. Coming out 25 years after the original, Space Jam: A New Legacy is exactly what it sounds like. It's just another Space Jam starring our modern-day basketball superstar, LeBron James. And let me tell you, this movie is a heaping garbage fire. The plot is basically this. There is an algorithm in the Warner Brothers system that pits LeBron James against his son Dom and makes them play a basketball game against each other with a bunch of cartoons and other Warner Brothers properties there. And basically it's just a 2-hour long reel of Warner Brothers reliving their glory days and just saying, wow, weren't we so great back then? What happened to us? My problems with this movie start right from the get-go, because this dynamic between LeBron and his son is so cliche it makes me want to yak. And while I do like High School Musical, I call what they do with the characters in this movie the High School Musical dynamic, and that's when there's a parent and a child, and the child just thinks that they're trying to be shown how to live the parent's dream and not their own, and that's why the two are at odds. And it's been so played out in movies. It was played out 20 years ago, so including it in this one just seems lazy. And that's not the only part that's lazy. All the jokes, and I use that term loosely in this movie, none of them are funny. They make that mistake that movie studios make where they try to include viral internet things or jokes among kids in their movies. And the problem with that is that, one, they usually can't pull it off because it's old people trying to relate to the kids and they can just never really do it. And two, movies take so long to get made that when you're making it, something might be popular, and by the time the movie comes out in theaters, everyone's like, did you really just include that joke? That hasn't been a thing in years.
What are those?
It's just never a good recipe for success. Also, and this is a mild spoiler, but it was included in the trailer, so fair warning, Porky Pig and the rest of the Looney Tunes having a rap battle was probably the hardest I've cringed during a movie in I don't know how long. Whoever thought that was a good idea, look yourself in the eye in the mirror and ask yourself what you're doing with your life.
Stop pooping.
The villain of this movie is the algorithm I mentioned before, played by Don Cheadle, and oh my god, is he too good for this role. This villain is one-dimensional, boring, his motivations seem to shift, and I'm not really sure what his end game is most of the time, and his lines are really corny or just exposition dumps, and that's also another sign of really bad writing. At points he just shouts out to the void or whatever whoever's there with him what his plan is and what he's doing at that moment, and that's like a rookie mistake. You can't do that in a movie. It's really bad. But I should have been tipped off that the writing would be horrible in this, because I implore you to go look at the IMDb page for how many writers were used on this movie. It's insane. If you get that many writers on one movie, it's gonna be a jumbled mess. There's no way a movie's gonna be good with that many writers. It just can't. But none of this is entirely unexpected, because when I saw the trailer for this, I went, oh yeah, this is gonna be bad. If you have a good trailer, then you never know. You could have a good movie or a bad movie. But if you have a bad trailer, 99% of the time you're going to have a bad movie. Because if you can't even salvage enough of the footage and jokes and whatnot to give yourself a good trailer, I'm sorry. The movie's just going to be dog crap. And true to form, this was. And let me delve just a little bit deeper into how many different Warner Brothers properties were included in this movie, because it's egregious. There are some points where certain Looney Tunes are inserted into Warner Brothers movies, and it's just really bad, because it's like you have to use the popularity or the success of some of your old movies from the past, even to make this one passable or watchable. It seems desperate. And when they have characters they're watching the game, which they included in the trailer, it gets distracting. You spend so much time being like, oh, that's a character I recognize from a movie, that you forget to watch what's right in front of you with the game, or vice versa. You get so lost in the game that everyone's a blur in the background. It's like, what's the point of all of them being there? It's a mess. It's information overload, I guess is what I'm saying there. Warner Brothers patting themselves on the back and being like, look at all the great things that we've created, feels very reminiscent of Ready Player One. Because a lot of that movie was that same stuff. They're like, hey, look at this character. You remember them, right? Yeah, you do. And it's weird because that movie only happened 3 years ago. So it seems kind of soon to be doing another clip show of our greatest hits, right? But I do think it's funny that Warner Brothers is still trying to milk Game of Thrones, because they got a couple of Game of Thrones things in there. And it's like they don't realize that everyone in the entire world absolutely forgot about that show and wrote it off after the awful, awful, awful series finale.
And who has a better story than Bran the Broken?
Nobody cares about that. If you would have had this come out and included that a couple years ago, maybe. But now, no. It's you just want to pat them on the back and be like, oh, it's okay. It's not okay, but it's okay.
Oh, it's okay. I mean, it's not okay, but... Oh, so stupid. Oh, such a dummy.
Really, I think that the Warner Brothers executives that are in charge of stuff like this are really out of touch and might just need to be put out to pasture and usher in a new wave. And I swear, like 80% of the Warner Brothers movies that I've seen recently have been bad. They've ranged from, well, that wasn't very good, to this is utter garbage. Occasionally they'll have one come out that's good, but that's outside the norm. Like if you were going to build a pyramid of some of the best Warner Brothers characters or movies, how many of them would actually come from the last decade or two? Or especially in the last 5 years? Not really a lot. And you will find the odd case, so don't leave comments being like, what about this, what about that? Yeah, there'll be some, but I think the glory days are kind of over for Warner Brothers movies. And this is just the final nail in the cartoon coffin. I know I've been really hard on this movie, but honestly, I was having trouble thinking of anything positive to say about it, because this is just not good filmmaking. And with that, I'll just say I give it a 3.4 out of 10. Space Jam: A New Legacy is jam-packed with nonsense. Unfortunately, even though I feel like most people would agree that watching this movie is the equivalent of stepping in goat poop, they're still going to keep making movies like this because it's making money. People are going to go see it. It's going to make money. So we're going to be treated with more and more goat poop. Alright guys, well if you like this review, please like and subscribe. I really appreciate it. It helped the channel out. And LeBron James, if you're out there watching, and I know you are, I'm sorry, don't kill me.
That's all, folks.
Thanks a lot, and I'll see you next time.